Hey everyone, to all the men I've tolerated it before is taking a little bit of a summer vacay. So for the weeks of July and August, we will be posting on our main feed our recordings of our Still Comfy episodes featuring Jules Washington. Remember, Still Comfy is our spin-off series where Jules and I get live on YouTube several Mondays of the month to discuss our favorite comfort movies and whether or not they still hold up with our modern lens and viewpoints. And every Tuesday on Instagram Live, we cover some television shows like Mad Men, One Tree Hill, and A League of Their Own, the Prime Amazon series. So make sure that you're following us on all social media platforms, Men I've Tolerated Pod and Natalie K124 on Instagram, Natalie K124 on TikTok. Consider joining our Patreon to get the bonus episodes that you've been missing with our friends and our beloved guests. And have a great rest of your summer. I'll see you in September. It still says,
there we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Still Comfy with Jules and Nat. Tonight, we are talking about the Sandlot, and I am going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to let Natalie introduce herself. I'm Julie Washington, the host of Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous, where we analyze pop culture through the lens of race or gender, and sometimes both. And my co-host is...
I'm Natalie Katona, the host of To All the Men I've Tolerated Before, your weekly look at everyday misogyny.
I mean, it's every day.
And Jules made me watch an entire movie about sports again and men in sports and men coming of age. All of my favorite heavy hitters.
I know it's going to be a great ride. I'm going to give a summary of the movie real quick for everybody who may not have seen this film. And if you're born between the years of 81 and 90, I don't know how you haven't yet. Here we go. It's the summer of 1962, and Scotty Smalls is the new kid in town. After becoming friends with the neighborhood boys who play baseball every day, the leader of the group, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, destroys their only baseball with an impressive at-bat. When the kids think their day is over, Scotty offers a baseball from his stepfather's office. When it's Scotty's at-bat, he smacks that ball over the fence of the home with the dreaded guard dog known as the Beast. The team is impressed, and Scotty is sent into a panic, stating that they have to get that ball back. When asked why, Scotty says it's signed by some lady named Babe Ruth. The team goes into a frenzy. How can Scott not know who Babe Ruth is? With the realization that a priceless piece of baseball history needs to be reclaimed, the team sets out on their greatest and most difficult adventure of their entire lives.
I'm pretty sure I only know who Babe Ruth is because of this movie. Why would I have any other pinpoint to who Babe Ruth is?
Yeah, I
besides
guess
the candy bar.
Well, the candy bar's pretty decent. Your family doesn't sport, right?
I mean, I remember so much about the 90s Bulls, but my sister doesn't. And I was like, I thought we watched basketball every night when the Bulls were playing, like in their prime.
Yeah, because the 90s was they were pretty hot.
Yeah. And basketball was like theater.
The thing.
Yeah, it was like, they were so theatrical. I was in it to win it. And then we're a hockey family, but like barely.
Okay.
And every once in a while, someone will say a football team name. And I'm like, oh, you care? My brother-in-law likes the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
Oh, I guess because, yeah, you are pretty close. Where you're from originally is probably closer to Chicago. So that would be your major teams.
Yeah.
Your pro
I was gonna be like, Indiana doesn't have a pro football team. And I was like, yes, it does, you fucking moron, the Colts.
Oh, yeah.
I walk that stadium every year at Gen Con.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
God.
I love it. So let's set the stage. The movie opens It's adult Scotty Smalls walking through the halls of Dodger Stadium to the announcer's box, and he's reminiscing about the summer 30 years ago. Then we flash back to 1962, and Benny is running from third base to
Benny!
home
Benny!
plate. But then he's getting caught between the third baseman and the catcher trying to throw him out. He ultimately gets past them and scores the running win. And this is clearly so the watcher understands that Benny is a badass and the defeater of all pickles.
Benny has one move, and it's I'll just keep running back and forth until they're tired. Everyone should know that that's Benny's move.
Right. Which it's baseball, so they don't run a lot. So that's not that hard.
True. Truly.
We are a sport family. My sister's super into football. Football's not my jam unless I just really like the tight little pants. That I'm okay with. But we grew up on baseball. Both of our grandfathers were baseball people. I procreated with somebody who has a baseball family, so the legends live on. So have you seen this movie? I can't remember. Have you seen this movie before we covered it today?
This is the movie that my male cousins always made us watch in someone's basement.
Okay.
That's the distinct memory I have of this movie. It's never a movie I turned on by choice. It's never it's not a movie we went to the movie theater to see. Whatever, one of my cousins and line them up would be like, the Sandlot's on. And then the parents would be like, do not come up these stairs. No one wants to look at you. Watch the Sandlot. We are all drinking up here and talking shit on you.
The Sandlot, a movie I do not watch by choice. We're get your ass to California in the early 90s. And I'm over here every day watching the Sandlot every single day during summer break every year for 30 years.
When I told Stephanie that we were doing the Sandlot today, she immediately thought we were doing Now and Then. And I was like, we've already done that. But yes, it is the foil to Now and Then. If I had to pair two movies for a household that had a baseball loving family and a sibling that loved Christina Ricci, I would make them one of the 2 for $5 DVDs at Walmart.
Yeah, I could see that. Didn't Now and Then come out 4 years later?
Maybe. I don't know.
But I could see that for us millennials, us elder millennials too.
I think when Sandlot was eventually sold in a 2-pack, it was with
the Sandlot 2.
No, it wasn't with the Sandlot 2. It was the Sandlot and is it the big green? I think it has
it was the big green.
Which
Ham is also in the big green
Ham
as the goalie. Hamilton the Babe Porter.
I love him.
Long Ball Porter.
I would talk to him today. He's funny.
Not all of the cast, but some of the cast still goes around and does stuff as Sandlot people. And I know Pod Moots World had Marty York on a couple of
because he got to be one of the kids sitting in the back of the class.
So they of course talked to him a little bit about that, and for the most part, so it's like Marty York who played Yaya, the kid who played Scotty Smalls, who looks like a normal human. You know what I mean? Because Marty York grown up is ripped, looks like he could be a model type of guy, right? He's still he's hot. And then the rest of them look like normal men.
As they should. Do you know who doesn't look like a normal man connected to the Sandlot?
Tell me.
Babyface Denis Leary gives me the eek. I'm like, nope, I don't like it. No, I like rugged, broken, old ass Denis Leary. But babyface Denis Leary, I was like, he looks like he hits women.
Oh, see, I think this is where my kind of not Rat Pack style, but kind of Rat Pack style obsession with men appearance wise started. I think it dates back to Denis Leary and the Sandlot.
I forgot it was Denis Leary, so I was immediately who's this creep? He's always playing a creep, and then I had to walk that back because it's Denis Leary,
and he wasn't a creep in this movie.
You know what? I don't like what. So number one, I forget how little the kid was when his dad died.
I think he said he was a baby.
Okay. But I still feel like we met Bill 3 weeks ago, and we're still trying to call him Dad. And I'm like, just call him Bill. Whose feelings are getting hurt.
Well, it is the 60s.
It was just a real, like, I don't know why
Bill?
it irritated
Dad.
me every time.
Bill? Dad.
I was like, just call him Bill.
They hadn't bonded yet because men don't need to bond.
No.
Apparently. This is not a thing men need to do.
The look of disappointment when Bill watched that kid throw a ball for the first time. And I was like, technically, this is your fault.
I mean, I feel like the Sandlot is like, well, my parents are much older in my dad was much older than these children in 1962. He was already in high school. But I feel like this movie is exactly what people in their like 40s and the 90s felt like the 60s were like.
Yeah.
Especially with that scene when they're playing baseball at night and like nobody gives a shit. They're just like running through the neighborhood. Like,
to be fair, that was my childhood in the 90s. Like, I like how we think that only people who didn't care about their kids in the 60s and the 70s. No, the people who raised me also didn't care. Maybe that's an isolated event.
No, I don't think it is, because we also grew up with the whole when the street light comes on, you come home. Yeah.
It's because we were pre-cell phones and they couldn't track us.
Yeah. And everyone knew everybody on the block. Like,
yes,
we knew every single neighbor. There was like a call tree situation. So like you could not get away with anything because the people across the street were going to rat you out.
Yeah.
Or the people around the corner, for crying out loud. Like, there was now I'm like, I've met my new neighbors. I don't remember their names.
Well, all of my neighbors are lovely older women who probably are just making sure that I'm safe.
Oh, that's adorable.
Probably just watching my ins and outs all the time, being like, oh, is she bringing over today?
Here's that wild neighbor of ours.
That wild neighbor.
Oh my goodness.
Sitting watching Married at First Sight with her cat again.
With the windows open.
Today I didn't notice that DoorDash. Number one, I got Taco Bell delivered to me via DoorDash, which I understand is a bougie bitch thing to do, but I just had so many things to do
that I support you.
It wasn't feasible for me to be in the car and also going to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And he put it on one of the porch chairs right in front of my window where I'm sitting watching Married at First Sight. Did I notice? No. Did I notice that Penelope noticed? No. I'm primed and ready for murder.
Please tell me your front door was locked.
Never going to see it coming. My front door is always locked because I'm worried that the doorknob's going to fall off one day. So I just try to not open it.
Yeah, I get that. And I support your decision to DoorDash food. Sometimes our days are packed full and it's just, hard to hop in the car and go get something real quick.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Like Bill.
Booked, busy, and bougie. Yeah, like Bill, who has no time.
I don't have 20 minutes to teach a kid how to throw a ball. I thought kids were born knowing how to throw balls. And now I know how my dad probably felt teaching me Frisbee. I thought I was a born natural at Frisbee.
He's just exasperated. Fucking Natalie again. Natalie's in the wrist.
But Annie and I were just talking about this on to all the men I've tolerated before on her art and the gatekeeping in the art world episode, that when you're doing things like teaching someone how to draw or teaching someone how to like flick a Frisbee or whatever, and it's literally those fine motor, like how the fuck do you tell someone like this is how you... I remember being in gym class and then being like, you just have to like caress the basketball with the, and then you just, and I'm like, what?
Well, when Benny explains to Scotty how to how to throw the ball, like that's literally how my son's father and I taught him how to throw the ball at 2 years old, because it just, just throw it and then let it go. Just let it go. Like it was such like Benny the Jet Rodriguez taught millions of little boys and girls how to throw a baseball with that scene.
Benny.
I love it. Benny. Over the weekend, my son and I watched Indiana Jones because apparently 'tis the season. Karen Allen is in Indiana Jones, but this movie came out 12 years after Indiana Jones. My child has been watching The Sandlot since he was in utero. He was my guest for when we covered this on the show. And he goes, "That woman looks really familiar." And I said, "Baby, that's Scotty Small's mom." And he's like, "Oh yeah."
She doesn't have a name. She's listed as mom on IMDb.
Yeah, because what did they call her? Mom.
Bill got a name, and
Bill got a name because he was the stepdad.
The dog got 2 names.
The Beast
and Hercules.
Hercules. I met one of the dogs who played the Beast / Hercules. Have I never told you the story?
No, you know I love a dog.
So, my dad was a cop when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And every year they did a big summer picnic out at the reservoir. And one year, I don't know if he was a guest of somebody or if he was also part of the department. And he has this huge dog, and I love dogs. And so, I'm like petting the dog or whatever, and we're just like chatting. In hindsight, probably a little creepy to be like letting a dude talk to a bunch of children with a dog like that. But at the time it was really cool. And he told us that they used a female dog for some of the scenes, was in the Sandlot, and he got to be on set and stuff. And I was just like, that's so cool. Oh my God. So no pictures though, because apparently that's the one time my dad didn't feel like photographing us.
Well, I have a photo of me and the dog from Finding Neverland, who I believe started its dog career in Annie.
I love that.
And he would only kiss me on the cheek.
Oh, that's
he was
so
supposed
cute.
to be he was doing press, and I interrupted because I was like, a dog?
A doggy?
And then the kids really liked me. So I was like, dogs and children, I'm in. And the dog took my hand. He was like, we shall hold hands.
Aww.
And then he kissed me on the cheek. And the woman who comes to do press sometimes at the theater, she was like, we tried for 20 minutes for that dog to kiss me on the cheek. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm pretty.
And dogs have a really good sense of someone's soul.
Right. And I don't know. I would say like, well, don't come off so desperate, but I am so desperate for dogs' attention. It just radiates off of me. I can't be at festivals because I'm looking at someone's dog being like, you want to fuck around and find out? And they're like, yeah. And then they were like yanking their like owner unsuspectedly away. And I'm like, oh, it's a dog.
It's a dog. Well, and with the Beast / Hercules, I love how they make it so exaggerated before they actually see him.
Because that's exactly how things feel in your head.
Yes, especially when you're a kid, because your frame of reference is so small in the world. And Squints, who later goes on to be on several shows like Boy Meets World and Gilmore Girls, is like the shit stirrer of the situation, who's like, that dog murdered people. We cannot ask for it back. The owner is a terrible man, which turns out to not be true.
But every neighbor, this is the note I wrote down, that every neighborhood has a neighbor that you don't fuck with and a dog that you don't fuck with. And sometimes they live together and sometimes they live separately. Ours was definitely like giving off child molester vibes. And then a Dalmatian in a different house, I was like, that dog will eat you if you're standing too close to his fence. And that's just like, it was the angriest Dalmatian I've ever seen. And it was always outside. And we told people, we're like, don't fuck with that dog. It's going to eat you. It be small, but it be mighty.
He ate them bones and all.
The bones and all.
But before we get into the pickle of it all, I specifically wanted to discuss with you the pool scene. So let me set the stage. The Sandlot is too hot to play the boys, to play baseball. So the boys to play the boys. So the boys convinced Benny that they should go to the community pool instead. RIP community pools. As they are enjoying their time, they're distracted by the lifeguard, Wendy Peppercorn, Squint's darling lover girl. And he literally says, I can't take it anymore. She just sits there lotioning and oiling and lotioning. Anyway, so then he gets out of the shallow end and walks into the deep end. Meanwhile, his friends are, there's commentary from his friends that are things like Squints can't swim and he's heading to the deep end. What is happening? So then Squints jumps into the deep end. Wendy realizes Squints isn't surfacing, so she dives in after him. She pulls him out of the water like the lifeguard should do. Then she begins mouth to mouth CPR. After several attempts of trying to provide air and then checking his chest, Squints, at the strategic point where she's checking his chest, opens his eyes and smiles at the crowd that has gathered around him. The crowd is confused because he was just floating in the pool, acting a dead. He recloses his eyes, and Wendy places her lips against his lips to resume the air part of CPR, and he holds her head down against his and kisses her. She is squirming the whole time, clearly not thrilled by the situation. And when she finally breaks away, she screams, "You little pervert," and then throws them out of the pool forever
the
that
whole
day.
summer.
No, forever that day, which implies to me they got to come back. So, Natalie, since your show and sometimes mine is rooted in everyday misogyny, I thought this would be a really fun scene to discuss with you.
Well, I can't imagine why. When I watched that scene, it brought me back to the foil of this movie, Now and Then. And all I can think about was the different ways that Truny, Thora Birch's character, is technically the sexualized, sexy one, and how innocent and cute. And like, I was like, that's exactly how I felt in the middle school too, when I was like, I'm the sexy one.
Yeah.
You'll never know what I'm going to be up to, literally doing nothing.
Yeah. It's the air of illusion.
Right. And then the way that Wendy Peppercorn is sexualized in this movie, and I was like, oh, that's the difference between the male gaze and the female gaze. And that's what you get for letting men write movies.
Big time, because Wendy's like, I don't know, 16. Oh, Mario, I just saw your comments. I apologize. Welcome. We love you. Oh, and I'm gonna show this while we're talking about Wendy Peppercorn.
I love Marley Shelton.
And I just and we have this conversation a lot, you and I, and then we also have this conversation a lot on my show, where when you have a story, like, how would the Sandlot handle that scene if it were a female director? Because when you have a female story written by a woman and it's directed by a woman, the translation doesn't get lost. Like, the nuance is still there. But when you have a female writer and then a male director, there's something missing.
Well, and then I think it would have fallen into like that babysitter trope where it's like you're in love with your babysitter and she's literally making you mac and cheese.
Yeah.
And like literally that's the only interaction she's having with you. So I feel like that scene would just literally be little Squints, just instead of swimming with his friends, just like mouth breathing at the base of the lifeguard tower. And her just like being like, go get me a hot dog.
Yeah.
My water needs to be refilled.
I need more lotion, please. Because sorry, go ahead.
Well, the thing that pisses me off about it is at the end when they're walking away and she sees them walking away, then all of a sudden she's decided it's cute and she's grinning and winking at them. I was like, do not boys will be boys this. He sexually assaulted you at work.
So I'm watching this movie for the millionth time, and I'm watching this scene. I'm like, okay, thank God. Like, yes, fight back, Wendy. Call him a pervert. Call it like you see it. This is fantastic. This is holding up after all these years. And then when they're leaving, and she's just like,
no, she boys will be boys did.
I was like, damn it, Wendy. Damn it.
Like,
we were
good
so
on you, kid.
Close.
You took a shot. And then at the end of the movie, Squints' little like update is that they
got married,
Wendy Peppercorn, and then he impregnated her 9 times. And I was like, that's gross. They're at least like, I don't know. I'm not, no.
Because I think they're 12 and she's 16.
I guess
So
it's not that
so
gross.
as adults, fair, but 12 and 16 is such a big difference.
You want to marry the dude that sexually assaulted you at your lifeguard job? I don't understand. No, that's a red flag. That's a red flag for me.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the 1960s where things like that were deemed okay.
But I feel like by the time
not
they'd be married, it would be the 70s, and Wendy Peppercorn should have been sexually liberated and getting abortions and stuff.
okay. So
That's
if
the
this is
future I want for
62,
Wendy.
yeah, I love that. I love that for her to be sort of like a Gloria Steinem. But if this is 1962, and oops, I did that backwards because dyslexia. And she's 16, so she was born in 46. So okay, so that tracks.
She'd be on the cusp of the
She would
70s,
be,
and
yeah.
time is relative. Maybe it was 68 when the 70s got a going. We don't know. We weren't there.
And they're in the San Fernando Valley. Mario,
Yeah.
if you're still listening, can you confirm they're in the San Fernando Valley, right? In Southern California. Mario is a Dodgers fan, which in theory I shouldn't be friends with him because we are strictly black and orange in this house. He will know what that means. But and this see, now I'm just being logical about it. I'm like, in the 60s, how small was the San Fernando Valley? And did it have a small town mentality where people didn't really leave?
I'm assuming
so they're
makes
like
money.
they're marrying whomever. Yes, the San Fernando Valley, thank you. So they're marrying whoever because it's a small town and they don't get out. You know
I
what I
don't know.
mean?
That pissed me off the most, though. And I knew, for one thing, I knew beat for beat that she was going to wink at him. She was going to be boys. Like, I'm pre-writing my notes. And then I was like, I'm pretty sure at the end of this goddamn movie, they say that she marries him.
Yeah.
And, like, does a callback to this. And it's truly the only gross scene in the movie.
Yeah, it really is. One time when I was a kid watching this movie at the neighbor across the street's house, because they had a son who was like maybe 2 years younger than I am, and the mom had never seen it before, so she like sat down and watched it with us, but she came halfway through and she goes, "Oh, did this story really happen? Are these people real?"
I mean, are they? Is Benny based off of a real Dodgers?
Not to my knowledge, but
I'm
that was the
convinced
first time in my child brain that I thought, you're a fucking idiot. But obviously in a 10-year-old's way about an
we never
adult.
know. I almost Googled about whether or not James
No,
Earl Jones,
it's not. This movie is not based on real people. Go ahead.
like, if there was an African American player that went blind before they could actually like do stuff with the Dodgers and like was friends with Babe Ruth, I was like, I wonder if that's true. I wonder if James Earl Jones is based on some poor guy that like just got to live out his days with his giant ass dog because he went blind before he could get like baseball famous.
There was the Negro League that was pretty popular during the time when the leagues were still segregated. So I'm not saying that there really was that character in Babe Ruth's life. I'm just saying like the reality, like
it's realistic to say that Babe Ruth would know one black man.
I mean, yeah.
One black man.
Yeah.
How many black men?
One. Because there's a lot of argument or discourse in the baseball community about whether or not the statistics pre-integration should even matter, because you had these heavy hitters in the Negro League. It's called the Negro League. I'm not just calling that because that's literally what it was called.
That's what it's called. For
people who aren't familiar, I just wanted to make that clear.
Name.
I just wanted to make that clear so no one's like coming for me. And I have a really awesome book, actually, a really awesome children's book about the Negro
Jules
League.
will send you a book.
I will send it to you. It's fantastic. It's a great read. At one point, I had 4 copies because I loved it so much. And I was worried that when my boy was little, he would like make it sticky, and then I'd
sticky.
But there's this discourse about how whether or not statistics before integration should even count, because how true are they when you have these really amazing heavy hitters playing in the Negro League and not even having a chance to play against who are considered, quote, the professionals when they're just as good. And I love that conversation.
It's almost as if segregation was a thing that happened because it only benefited white men.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did I get it? It's almost as if they're trying to recreate that now in Congress because so many things aren't benefiting white men currently,
Yeah.
like their personalities.
Yeah. Just, it's not my fault your personality sucks, bro.
Your personality sucks.
Like, stop punishing me because your
I
personality
bet you Bill
sucks.
sucks. I bet you like Bill's not great to build a life with.
Oh, I'm willing to bet that even though I found Denis Leary sexy as Bill, that he's probably somebody born 40 years prior, right? So he's like
Mhm.
the late teens, early 20s. So he's living through World War II, the Depression. So he's that silent generation guy who's probably like, don't expect shit from me because my contribution is paying for the house.
Take me to the airport, mom.
Yeah,
Lady who
woman.
does not have a name.
Woman,
Because
take me
I
to the
never
airport.
speak to her with her given name.
Your mom and I, well, your dad and it's just a whole lot of that. So it's very, very much through the child's lens in that case, right?
Mhm.
Because like, I don't know if your parents did this when they were married, but mine have been married for almost 52 years and they still, your mother, your father, your mother, your father. Well, like certain given names aren't used unless you're can't find somebody in public. Mario wants to know who our favorite character is. I, as a young teen girl, had a big old crush on Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, I do remember
Man,
that.
he was cute.
I do remember when my cousins wanted to watch it, I'd be like, we have to watch the Sandlot again. Because like I just didn't like maybe I was always born to lead a life that just constantly talked about how misogyny is bad. But like I was so disinterested in anything that like had an all-male cast. I was like, this is what you're making me do. I don't want to know what they think.
You know what's interesting about that, Natalie, is when I think about all the movies that I loved from the 90s, they're predominantly male casts.
Name them. And then
Sandlot,
while I come up with an answer, my
Mighty
favorite
Ducks,
character is the dog.
The Rookie of the Year.
They're all sports movies, Jules. Is this how your dad chose to connect with you? Because my dad chose to connect with me through D&D, and that's how he chose to view me as a person.
No, mine was through music.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I used to have pretty heavy, extensive knowledge about the funk scene, which I have since deleted to make space for other things.
I love the funk scene.
I mean, when the jams
Dayton
come on,
Dayton is the home of funk. I live in the home of funk.
That track, my dad grew up in Cleveland, so that tracks.
See? Maybe Cleveland is the home of funk, and like Dayton's like, we're the home of funk. Did you know?
Did you really know? Well, and two, like, I think the sport thing skipped a generation because my dad could give or take. Like, he could love it or leave it. Whereas, like, me and both of my grandfathers were like, baseball season? Baseball season? Like, before, like, when they started delaying television, it was a travesty for my baseball watching game because you would turn on KNBR and listen to which is the radio station, AM side here in California, to listen to the Giants play, but then you'd mute the TV because the commentators on the television weren't as good. And you'd listen to that voice. I forget his name. He passed away. Did he pass away? Shit, now I don't remember. And you'd listen to him call the game, watching the game, and it was absolutely beautiful. And then they started delaying TV, and you couldn't do that anymore.
Is it the guy that they wrote kind of like into the Not Dead Yet ABC comedy that we like?
No, it's not that guy.
Okay. Well,
because
then I was gonna be like, he's dead. He's on that dead show.
Yeah, he's on that dead show. But it was such a good time.
I laughed the most at the dog bits about like the dog being a monster and the big like animatronic paw and like and then that dog just running through town and everyone screeching about it. I was like, that dog's so fucking confused.
I loved the scene where they're running through the picnic.
Yeah. But I will say that my favorite speaking character is the shit talking umpire because he's just a 12-year-old just being like, your fly's undone.
Yeah.
And like he's just so good at it. He even fucks around with his own players. He's like, oh man, is that your sister out there? She's naked. You think she'll let me take her to prom? And like, kids are just striking out, but no one's hitting him. I was like, how come someone hasn't socked this kid?
I love him. Okay, so I know that you're like, sport movie, men cast, damn Julia.
There are no women in this movie who are assaulted or have a
Ignored.
name.
I know.
Wendy's the only one with a name.
This is the root of my problems, probably. Because I really feel like this movie, like, especially watching it this time, because I knew we were going to talk about it today, it really like the style that I think is sexy on guys, you know, and the different types of guys that I like. There are a lot of Bennies in my life.
I mean, Benny was a very charismatic and also kind person. Like,
I love him.
Immediately see an underdog kid who's like, I don't have any friends and I only wear khakis and my dad's Bill or my Bill's dad. I'm still not sure.
Well, and he's so sweet about it too. He's not showy about it.
No.
He's just very like, hey, this is the right thing to do because it's the right thing to do and because we don't want people to feel left out.
Yeah. He's a real cute kid.
I loved Mike Vitar. I mean, when they added him to the Mighty Ducks 2 movie, I was a very happy girl.
This movie also reminded me of Clueless by how elevated and smart the dialogue is.
Yeah.
The actor, older brother. That's a cute fun fact. Put that on the screen.
He did pass away from cancer.
Benny?
No, the older Benny.
The older brother.
The one that plays, which makes me sad. Mario, I'm so glad you're here. We have missed you.
Mario.
It is not the same without you sometimes, Mario.
Mario, I went and saw the D&D movie on Saturday.
He gave it an A+, right?
It's very funny. It's very good.
I was like, Mario, you never give A+. This is a big deal.
The things that people are complaining about, I think, like, are just the people who would truly complain about anything that was thrown up on. Because I went to the theater for the original D&D movie that had a cast of nobodies.
Yeah.
And asked me if I could tell you what that fucking story was. I couldn't. I don't even think that there was one. But this current D&D movie fucking slaps.
Because it's the cast is stacked, right? It's like Hugh Grant. Isn't Chris Pine in it?
Chris Pine plays a bard, so he gets to jump around and sing.
I might have to watch it just for that.
It's super cute. And then it has Michelle Rodriguez from the Too Fast, Too Furious series franchise. Good news, there will be a new Fast and Furious movie this year. And they say it's going to be the last one. And I was like, don't you fucking lie to me. You come out with one every calendar year, if not 2.
Like you should have stopped at 10.
Jason Momoa's in this one, though. And I was like, that makes sense. I go, don't stop until you put Dave Bautista in one. Because now Dave Bautista has to be in one.
No, I need Dave Bautista in a rom-com first.
Well, I wrote one. And by wrote, I mean, I conceptualized one with Annie.
I love that.
So basically, it's Dave Bautista is in love with Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa is trying to teach Dave Bautista how to braid his hair, and they're having a hard time. So in comes Jason Momoa's best friend, Lenny Kravitz, to help Dave Bautista out. And then they form a throuple, and nothing bad happens in the movie. There's no conflict, no one breaks up or whatever. It's just 2 hours of us watching them communicate and coordinate a poly relationship with a 25-minute soft but sometimes hard love scene.
I love that. And Jason Momoa is in his traditional clothing the whole time.
Do you mean no clothing?
He's just wearing the thing that just covers his front, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sure.
Literally.
And then like Jason Momoa and Lenny Kravitz teach Dave Bautista on how to be on a motorcycle. I don't know why Dave Bautista doesn't know how to do anything in this movie, and it's just Lenny Kravitz and Jason Momoa teaching him things that I've seen them do on Instagram.
We need to find an animator who can like at least make this an animated feature for us, or
Honestly,
an animated short for us, since it's gonna take longer probably to get it into
listen, I might
actual.
DM Dave Bautista and be like, I'll write you a
I
rom-com,
got you a
but
rom-com, son.
you have to kiss Jason Momoa in it, and maybe Paul Rudd, and definitely Lenny Kravitz.
I love it.
So you just tell me how you feel about it.
Oh my
because-
gosh.
And if you feel badly about it, just don't message me back. Just let me live.
Just let me
Let me
live.
live.
Just let me live blissfully
so it
in
has
this dream.
Michelle Rodriguez. There's a
Uh-huh.
surprise cameo from a big movie hotshot star who I literally at one point just said out loud, "Is that who that is?"
Are you not saying who it is on purpose?
I don't know. Mario, do you know if that's a surprise cameo or is that something that people are bragging about? Because I hate when like, oh, I found the big bug that I meant to kill before here.
Oh, it
before
finally
we got home.
resurfaced. Gives Mario time to respond if he's still watching.
But yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that anyone who is watching
It's
our
supposed
show,
to be a surprise.
okay, well, it's supposed to be a surprise. And honestly, like, if I wasn't paying attention, I would have missed it. And then, like, all of a sudden, I like squinted and I was like, is that who that is?
Okay, you'll tell me offline.
It's a real fucking mind fuck.
You'll tell me offline.
I will.
Okay.
And then Hugh Grant's in it.
Yeah, I do love Hugh Grant. Everyone's so mad at him because he's being cranky on red carpets and stuff.
He's old as hell. He is old as the hills. He probably can't hear anybody.
And also, stop asking him stupid questions
that he can't hear.
Because, like, first of all, he's British. They conquered the world for a fucking reason. Like, he doesn't have time for your asinine comments and questions. Just be thoughtful.
He didn't want to walk up to you anyways. I've never seen Hugh Grant do a red carpet interview. I was like, who made him do that?
They're like, Hugh, you have to.
Hugh, you have
it's
to.
time.
For the D&D movie. For the fat dragon.
For the fans.
For the fans.
We're trying to capture your audience and fold them into D&D.
Also, there's some rumor that the cast sat down and played a session of D&D together, or they played out their campaign with their character sheets. I think it's a fucking lie because I don't think Hugh Grant would do it.
I don't know. Bye, Mario.
Bye,
it was
Mario.
good to see you. Okay, so I want to go back to Mario's original question.
I said I gave 2.
I know you gave 2. Yes, you said the dog, and then you said Hamilton the Babe Porter.
Yeah.
Long Ball Porter.
I just love a fat kid that's got a mouth on him.
That's literally the only character he plays in every movie.
And I love him in every movie. Big Green, that was a great movie. And I think there's women in that movie.
Yes, because I think after the Sandlot, they were like, hey guys, we gotta throw in a girl. And then they were like, no, but we gave you Kenny DeNunes. We got the black people in here. Do we really have to add a girl? And Disney's like, yes. But I want to go back.
I will say that male-dominated cast movies, the way that I remember them, they're the only movies that ever had people of color in them. And I was like, so they were like, girls movie, we don't have to worry about anything else.
You got a girl in the movie? We don't need black people. But Kenny DeNunes, who is played by, I forget the actor's name, but he also is a classic 90s film guy. Are we okay?
Yeah, I heard a weird noise, but
okay.
I'm also so dry, so I keep muting to chug water because you know when your throat just gets dry in one spot that the water just won't reach while you're drinking.
I hate that. It's my pet peeve. But Kenny DeNunes, who is the only black character in the movie, and he is also not very prominent in the movie, but he has the heater, which is a fast pitch. And I feel like watching it this time, I
don't remember him pitching at all.
He's the pitcher on the team.
Oh, he's the pitcher the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To be fair, they weren't playing real baseball. They were playing like elevated catch. Like they were just throwing things and calling things. And so if I didn't see him pitch, it's literally because that game never stopped moving.
Well, they did play real baseball against the school team
Oh yeah,
who wore their
those,
uniforms everywhere.
those little bitches.
Those little freaking assholes. I hate those kids. But I love the scene where they come to the Sandlot and they start shit talking to each other.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a good scene.
When you were rewatching the kid that had the heater, did something come back to you that was like,
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you, because my train. um, I had this moment because I'm struggling with like the idea of ensemble casting right now
mm-hmm.
because when I covered Daisy Jones and the Six for a bonus episode for Patreon in March, I found an article from the showrunner who was like, well, we changed these things because it was already a pretty big cast and this character really doesn't do anything. And the actor, if we cast it, would have been, like probably annoyed about their small part.
I believe we've always been told that there are no small parts.
That
E-
and
Even when you're cut.
mhm. And two, like there's a point, for me that was a moment of like, oh, so you're limited in your own imagination then,
Mm-hmm.
because there are a lot of films with ensembles who have minor characters and TV shows who still are successfully like incorporating, those characters to not, I mean, Kenny didn't elevate the movie, which I think that now that I look back on it after all these years, they really could have used him more in a way, because like yeah was there to like sort of double down on his catchphrases or whatever. Ham was there to sort of be the shit talker, and all the other, Squints was there to be the predator,
Predator.
and like, you had the twins who were like the smarty pants guys who sort of show up in the end because they can do like the sciencey shit to try and get the ball back. But they never really use Kenny in any way like that too. Like Bertram also like has this like tie-in, they just didn't really use Kenny in the way that they use the other
Kenny
characters.
didn't have a role.
Yeah, it was almost like, okay, you're the space filler because you're black, so hang in there.
Yeah.
That was
Is
my
what
beef. I had
okay.
to I just that
No,
was
it's
just
a
my
good
beef.
beef. It's a good beef.
Yeah.
It's a good beef.
And I think
Because
I
I
remember Kenny because
yeah.
Kenny looks like people I grew up with,
Well,
right?
and I
It
think
like
The Sandlot gets a lot of credit because it has James Earl Jones in it, and they're like,
uh-huh.
look, black people played baseball.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
And you cannot not love James Earl Jones. Like
Right.
there's nothing wrong that man can do.
No, he's wonderful.
He's wonderful. He has an amazing voice. He's so adorable in every single phase of his life.
I bet that dog loved him.
Oh, probably. Who doesn't love James Earl Jones?
My favorite part of the movie is when the kid is still scared of the dog because the dog is now just like settled down and is like, I will sit here now and look at you. And the kid's just like, and then the dog gives him a
Like a
big
big
old
old
kiss. I
lick.
was like, I
Yeah.
love dogs.
They're the best.
Dogs are the best.
They're the best.
Which is why I think we should do Beethoven.
Written by John Hughes. I'm for it.
I know. I forgot it was a John Hughes movie.
But I think he writes it under his other name.
Right. And then I get to live in a lie.
Yeah.
It has my girl Bonnie Hunt in it.
Oh, we love Bonnie Hunt.
And Thora Birch. I think Thora Birch is the little girl in it.
In the original?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
She's the one that drowns in the pool.
Yeah. I'm over here trying to think of what other sport movies I can force you to watch.
That's not nice.
Natalie's like, we're done being friends, Julia.
Well, it's just not nice because I took away Army of the Dead because I wanted to watch Ever After. And I was going to take it back anyways because I was like, I really want to watch Riding in Cars with Boys because I think that is the truest that Drew's ever been able to play herself.
Yeah.
And I'm on a big Drew Barrymore kick. I believe that she's healing us through her talk show.
Oh, 100%. Like her talk show is such a godsend, I just, I watch the clips. I don't watch the show.
Oh,
but
it's not Thora Birch. It's some little girl who got to be in Kindergarten Cop. Her name's Sarah Rose Carr. She's so cute.
That's a movie that brings me back to my childhood.
Kindergarten Cop?
Mm-hmm.
I loved Kindergarten Cop.
Whenever we'd go to Cleveland to visit family, there's like a handful of movies that were always on rotation because those were like these are the safe ones that we can have on with everyone in the room, kind of, because there's a 20-year age gap between myself and my oldest cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then like there's there's 8 of us total. So then,
Yeah.
everyone kind of sprinkles in between. So, 1992 is a very diverse age group. But Kindergarten Cop was one of the ones that was like, this is okay to have on the TV.
Kindergarten Cop has like big Uncle Buck vibes where it's like, should I be watching this as a child? I know it was marketed as a family film.
I fucking love Uncle Buck hard.
I love Uncle Buck too.
It's like one of my favorite movies in the entire world.
Correct. As is, I don't know why I feel like this movie is related, but Jack with Robin Williams, where he's aging it rapidly and like has sex with Fran Pine as an 11-year-old or something. I don't know. Also big. There are so many movies where children get to have like consensual relationships with adults, and the man who wrote the movie is like, and it's sexy, right? No.
You make a very good point. And I feel like we should actually just address that topic as a whole one day.
As a whole? Do we dedicate an entire season of your show to it? Like we decided to do with Disney? Like
maybe. Or they're like mini seasons where we only hit 10 movies for each one.
Because you know what the difference is? When it comes to Jack and Big and The Sandlot and all of these gross movies where small child men have sex with mature women, it's like that was hot and cute and it ended in a love story. And then when Brooke Shields does it, it's in a movie about her being a sex worker, and it's called Pretty Baby. And now she has a documentary about the trauma that not that I'm saying that like everyone should have an equal chance to like fuck adults or whatever, but there's a stark difference in how like little boys get to have like dating relationships with adult women compared to the trauma that Brooke Shields and a lot of other women were dealt to be like, date these grown men.
Well, and they were forced in Taxi Driver too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and because Jodie Foster was like 13, right? And I think what it also add to that is little boys get to stay innocent. Little boys are allowed innocence, but little girls are not.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And it is hard to do those movies now because I loved Jack. What a sad, hated Benjamin Button, but I loved Jack.
Yeah, Benjamin Button was, first of all, okay, it's a short story. It's not even a novella.
But it's like a 3-hour movie.
But it's so how the hell did you get from like 25 pages? I don't know if it's 25 pages, but the point is it's fucking short. Did you get a 3-hour movie? I don't understand.
Well, and like, so Jack,
should I make everybody read this in book club so I can like dissect it? Oh my God.
Oh, but then I'm going to have to watch Benjamin Button.
I know.
However, I won't sit down and watch the entire Benjamin Button, but will I sit down and watch it in 3-minute segments that a TikTok user has decided like these are the important parts of Benjamin Button?
Fix the movie. Because honestly, there's no reason for a movie to be 3 hours long anymore. Like that to me is like, change the medium, because I'll sit for a 3-hour play. I expect a play to be 3 hours. That's a completely different experience. You want a 3-hour movie, you have a storytelling problem.
I will say that I think the main difference is when like little boys are dating grown women, comedy.
Right.
When little girls are dating grown men, drama. Lifetime movie. Oscar bait. Like
well, it's like American Pie too, with what's his face's mom, Stifler's mom. Yeah.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Which made her career, and she deserves every bit of it because she's so good. At the same time, though, it does sort of create this situation again, back to boys get to be innocent for as long as they're allowed to be innocent.
And they hire likable women like Fran Fine. Ain't no one's gonna say nothing bad about Fran Fine and get
Right.
away with it. The woman in Big, she was a likable 80s icon.
Mm-hmm.
Marley Shelton, is that her last name?
Yes. Yes.
She has bit parts and everything, and you always like her.
Yeah.
Um,
And she has an innocent look to her,
yeah,
which also sort of, it doesn't add to the situation. It's like almost like they're trying. It's like there's this innocent sex bot
yeah.
scenario that exists.
Kate Blanchett eventually raising an old yet infant Benjamin Button as they both just divulge into dementia.
Yeah.
No one's going to say anything bad about Kate Blanchett, but like the men that they hire to be like, hey, Brooke Shields, you have to sit in a very tiny G string on this man's lap. And it's like, he looks like a gremlin troll. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's traumatic. It's
It's
traumatic.
and it's still another version of a man's fantasy too, because there's the
Yes.
innocent fantasy and then there's the hypersexualized fantasy.
Yes. So either way, it's just like men always getting what they want because it's
Yeah.
like I got to fuck Fran Fine, who was like a sexy grown up, but I also got to fuck Brooke Shields when she was like 11 in my head. So it's gross. You all are gross.
Yeah.
I'm very upset that we remade Overboard. Like, it's gross.
Though Anna Faris,
I love Anna
we
Faris,
stand
and
behind you, ma'am.
Chris Pratt is a dick.
I am so mad that he is Mario in the
We're
Mario
all
movie.
mad.
Like anybody else.
We're all mad. It's like if the Brady Bunch had done Encanto, and it's like, sure, Greg Brady, right? Why not?
I mean, there's versions of that happening throughout history, right? Like,
Yes, but
Dream Girls told us all about it.
we're living in 2023. Like, fucking make Mario an Italian. For one thing,
Or at least, sorry, go ahead.
we already made a Mario movie where a white man played him in a live action movie where it was
I was gonna say at least John Leguizamo played Luigi.
yeah, sure. But I'm like, come on. Come on.
Didn't you hear Italians are white now?
I still don't understand how that works. And I feel like every time we try to discuss it, I end up sounding ignorant because I'm like, I don't understand how that works.
I think it depends on I've been kind of digging a little bit more, and I think it depends on the region of Italy. Just like how like Spain isn't Latina or
Is that
like
what
part of the Latinx.
Yeah. Is
I
that what White Lotus was trying to teach us? Is like in some parts of Italy, they get to be white people, but in some parts of Italy, where the sex workers live.
maybe. But then I was like, well, but Spain is, considered white, but Italy's all one country, right? Like
Oh.
there's like these Latin X countries.
What about
There's a
Portuguese?
multitude of them. I don't know.
I don't know. I need someone. I don't know. Is
We have
it
a large
eugenics?
Portuguese population in where I live, and
I need like a New York Times article about this or something. About
I'm
like
sure one exists. I'm
when
sure.
when did Italy come together as a nation and vote to be white? Like that's
I'm gonna ask my cousin. He moved back.
Do you think it's because America wanted to be like really hard for Christopher Columbus? So they had to be like he was a white dude, like Jesus.
Oh.
Did I solve it?
Wasn't he hired by like France or something to do the exploration?
He was, but wasn't he Spanish? I thought he
No.
was hired by the Spanish monarchy.
Oh, he was. Yeah, he's Italian, but he was hired by the Spanish. Sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So maybe that's when it happened, when they were like, well, we can't have a non-white dude in like discover America. That
But
would
then
make us look
also,
like really big dicks when it came to the indigenous people.
yeah, well, he was doing Spain's work, and Spain did do some kind of horrific stuff in the past too, right?
Oh, so what you're saying is that they earned it through colonization?
Maybe.
Well, there you have it, everybody. That's how you earn it.
I literally don't know, because honestly, Natalie, I deleted so much stuff out of my brain because I don't like, this is why people who are in their 80s struggle to remember shit, because there's 80 years of shit you have to remember. Like,
I just like
I'm
every
like,
time we talk about it, I'm like, do people just get to decide that one day? I just don't understand.
And how does religion factor into it, right? Because you know, you have the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right? Like, none of the Italians in my life are Protestant.
I don't know. I had to be at a church for the wedding, and for whatever reason, I was too dumb to realize that I might have to sit in a church that day.
Because who still has church weddings?
Apparently, people in my fucking family. And like my cousin, another one of my cousins, he did laugh when I was like, "Did you expect to be at church today?" And he's like, "You know what? We haven't been at church since we were kids. Why would we be at church today?"
I don't know.
Why would we be at church today? But they didn't do communion or anything. So, and there was no kneeling. And I was like, and I didn't say any, like, my cousin's wife and I were like, we're not trying to remember all of the chants and the prayers and like the hand motions. We'll just
when baby Jay was leaving to go back to school, I said something that was rooted in religion, and he just like stared at me, and I was like, I didn't raise you with religion, so you don't get it.
So sorry.
Sorry.
So sorry. But
your mother has trauma.
I used to get really claustrophobic in church, and that's kind of eased. Just so I was like, have I healed? Has a demon left me? Who's
you know
to
what?
say?
Once I realized that that there's a massive misunderstanding that the story of Christ's birth is an allegory, and like it's in this, there's a unit of a large population of people who believe it to be truth. That's when I was like, yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
You guys, I'm allowed to believe in fairy tales too, guys.
Something else. Oh, we need to have an offline conversation about it because we're going to dive in deep. But like Stephanie asked me if I read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I went, no, but I watched the TV show. And she's like, well, I was listening to a show or watching a TikTok or something about Daisy Jones and the Six. And I was too dumb because when I read, I just read everything for face value and I never look for any nuance. She goes, so I didn't realize that the little girl, like Billy's little girl being the narrator of the story, makes everything an unreliable account.
Yes.
And I was like, Stephanie, and she's like, I just took it for face value.
I love that. Oh, bless her.
Well, you know.
Okay.
I was like, that probably does mean that Billy and Daisy fucked and they just didn't want to tell her. Like, who wants to tell their kid, and I fucked your Aunt Daisy? Well, Ted Mosby. Ted Mosby. He told his kids, everyone, that he fucked.
And in the current version, How I Met Your Father.
Yeah.
Sophie something or other.
Yeah.
I just got the creeps from the last 3 episodes I watched from that show. Sorry.
Yeah, justice for John Corbett.
Honestly.
Just like, number one, what's that hair?
So
also, don't make him creepy. He's never been creepy once in his career.
Once. Why are you doing this to us? I saw some promo shots for Just Like That season 2, and same look. I was like,
no, I'm not watching.
Did he do this to himself then?
I'm gonna call him. You know, on Instagram, you can just call people from their DMs, and I'm gonna call him. And I'm gonna be like, John,
we need to have a chat.
John,
time for you to sit down and recognize that you are 61, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna call him right after I call Batista and be like, listen, I'll write you a rom-com. You're gonna have to kiss Lenny Kravitz.
I will pay money for that.
Everyone will pay money for that.
We will have viewing parties.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's bring it all home.
Here's the thing. When you give me a movie about baseball and little boys and there's only like one misogynistic part in it because there's only one woman in it, what was I supposed... Like, one of my notes says, how did these kids get dip?
It's the 60s.
Also, no one's mom was just going to give them the 50 cents for a new ball. Like, I love the things that we make up as like,
as a kid.
Now our day is over. Like, I feel like one time the guys that I used to run around with in my neighborhood, like, they created like a bike ramp in the woods that sat on the bike trail that ran through my neighborhood. And I remember like one of the boards cracking or whatever. It's like, well, what will we be doing today? I was like, we literally just found this board on the side of the road. Like, everyone calm down. No one spent money on any of this. It's a
Yeah.
wonder no one's died.
You know what, though? That devastation. I don't know about you, but asking my parents for anything
Or
was
anything.
terrifying.
Scary. I would rather just steal it, I guess. I guess
Yeah.
that's why kids take candy bars out of convenience stores.
Honestly, because then I was thinking about it and I was like, why was it so scary to always? Because everything was a burden, right?
Yes.
Like, and then when I became an adult and started paying for my own shit, it was just like, why were you so mad? Like, this isn't that bad.
And let me tell you, that's not how kids are raised anymore, because I see kids now and I'm like, they're asking for what they want.
Yeah.
They're telling you their emotional needs. And I'm like, who? I'm sorry, what? They're just walking up to you and be like, I know that we have vanilla ice cream, but I'm going to pass because I really like chocolate. And I'm like, no, I would have eaten the whole fucking carton of vanilla so no one had to feel bad about the ice cream. And if I didn't, someone would have told me, Natalie, you made your aunt feel
Yeah.
bad about the ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids be wild today. They just
Totally.
have choices and agency. And I'm like, what?
It's like, I'm like,
Not me and Benny.
No. And I'm like over here, like, will I ever feel like I can have choice and agency?
No.
Oh, man.
No.
This is why people think my child is spoiled, because he has choice and agency.
Well, and then that's it too. So now the people who raised us are watching you and people in your age bracket, or even like, because there's such a like widespread of ages in my family. So now all of the people who have like dumped their kids into the real world are watching other people raise small children, and they're like, those fucking kids are spoiled. And I was like, well, number one, then you gotta, I spend so much of my mental, emotional energy like trying to be all like, this is what non-binary means. This is what it means for children to have needs. I don't know. How did I survive?
Right?
This is what she's exhibiting that behavior because she is on the spectrum.
Yeah.
I don't you know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it all boils down to we're all spoiled little brats.
Yeah, every generation's a little different, right? Like, it's so funny to listen to a certain person in my life complain about participation trophies. And I want to be like, it's your fucking parents who started the participation trophy and you're mad. Like, cool. I'm so glad you're mad about participation trophies when your parents are the ones who fucking started the participation trophy.
The stupid shit that we make competitive, I say, as I make sure that I tallied all of the things that were funny in my comedy class that I said correctly. Because I'm winning. Because I'm going to win. There's no point system. There's no nothing, but I will win I will declare myself a winner at the end of it. Sometimes at trivia, when I'm the only person getting the questions right, I was like, I'm just going to start keeping score for myself. I don't even care what the team's score is. I'm just going to be like, today I got 15 right.
Natalie, this is how I know that you and I are cut from a very similar cloth. I do the same shit. Because I was never allowed to own anything that I did and did well. And I mean, inside my family unit, that's true. Outside the family unit, that's not true. So like, I have a lot of external validation from the world, but inside my family unit, that's where the crippling of like, people don't want to listen to me.
As soon as someone who's blood related to me is like, did you get validated? That can't be.
Yeah. And then they're like, where's my axe? Let me go get my axe real quick because you got validated.
I know that my father was trying to like connect with me in a very emotional level to actually like lead up to the I'm proud of you. But all I can remember of this interaction is my dad and my sister came to visit for the first play that I produced and like to watch it or whatever. And I don't even think it was the first play. It was the first musical that I directed for the middle school. And parents, students, kids, siblings, people from the street or whatever, everyone in that auditorium walked up to my dad to tell them something that I had done at that motherfucking school. And at the end of it, my dad went, so many people in this auditorium really like you, Natalie. Like, you're really loved here. And I was like, why do you sound shocked?
Yeah.
He's like, I mean, I haven't been able to sit down for 10 seconds and people just keep coming. Like, we hear that you're Miss Katona's dad. She's wonderful. I was like, I am wonderful. It turns out.
It turns out that
against all odds.
you ignoring me,
Against
people
all
actually
odds.
wanted to like me.
Against all odds. The trauma hit right, and I'm actually a pretty decent person.
Yeah.
But
I had a similar experience with my house party, and I can't believe how many people showed up at your party.
I can't believe. Did you?
I
you
can't believe how many
friends?
people drove from out of town to come
Oh
to
my
your
God.
party.
You
Thanks.
friends?
Thanks. I'm gonna go cry now. I'm not drunk enough yet. Hold on.
Hold on. And then it's like, so yeah, I'll sit there at trivia and someone will say, we're having a really great round. And I'm like, no, I'm having like a really excellent night at trivia because everyone that I've answered is
Has been correct. I do the same shit, girlfriend.
And I don't
do
even
the
care about the
same.
ones that I don't know. I let them argue for 10 minutes and I'm like, I don't know it and
100%.
I don't care that I don't know it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm not learning it. So I'm
Yeah,
not even going to pay attention to the real answer.
You got to rely on someone else for that answer.
Yeah. I don't
love
know it. I don't care that I don't know it.
So, Natalie, were you ever comfy with this movie?
I know that I gave you a lot of shit for making me watch a sports movie. I do like The Sandlot. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I think like Clueless, it has a very elevated dialogue for kids.
Mhm.
And I think that the best kids movies are the movies that believe that kids are intelligent.
Yeah.
And when I watch those kids, that is exactly how I feel like my gremlin boy cousins probably grew up with their gremlin friends that I have met. Like
Yeah.
one of my cousins' best friends dared him to get his hotel room tattooed on him. And then when my cousin faltered, he's like, what if I paid for it? So honestly, maybe we should be studying, like, is this our he's just not that into you? Like, so I do feel like it's a very true depiction of childhood.
I agree. And I think that having it be a foil to Now and Then is a really good, is it actually, not actually, makes perfect sense. I mean, for me, because I didn't always have summers filled with roaming the neighborhood with my friends, that was like a hit or miss situation because I am so much younger than, or I was so much younger than the people in other kids in my neighborhood. Um, And when I did have those summer days where we were in the neighborhood doing dumb shit kid stuff, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love this movie so much, because it reminds me how good it felt to exist in a group that gave you shit, but they still loved you. Like there wasn't any competition, there wasn't any like cruelty. It was just like, we all actually really enjoy each other, but we're also gonna fuck with each other.
Right. And I think we're always trying to like reclaim those childhood moments. Like watching the 4th of July night game, and I was like, I can't remember the last time I fucking enjoyed the 4th of July.
Honestly.
And I love fireworks. I love boom, boom, fire. But so it's like, it's the reason that like I always sit outside that first night that I see a firefly to see how many I can see, because you're like, oh my God, do you just remember walking home slowly because the porch lights were on, but you just wanted to watch all the fireflies?
Yeah.
Or you caught them as you were going.
Or like what we did, one of the things I loved in childhood was just laying in the grass in the front yard as the sun was setting, because there was something about the temperature that was perfect. And like everyone was just kind of chill. I don't know. There was something so pure and innocent, but also lovely and comforting about it. And it's just like, I don't know. The Sandlot brings me back. Sandlot is one of those movies that brings me back to that space. And I think it feels really good.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's Now and Then. It's the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap.
Oh, I love I love that. I did not want to like that movie because we grew up on the original. I mean,
Oh,
when I
we
say
did
we
not.
grew up on the original, I mean like there was a chance that my child, if he had come out she,
Mm-hmm.
would have been um Maureen.
Maureen. Right.
That's not right. Fuck. Keep talking. I'm gonna
Is
confirm.
one of their names Sophie?
No, because the mom in the original,
Oh,
Maureen O'Hara. Yeah, that's
yeah.
got to be right. Because
Um,
I loved her so much as the mom. She was this fiery redhead and just like, anyway. So we grew up on the original so hard, and I did not want to like the
oh,
remake,
I
and I
love
fucking
the
loved the
Lindsay
remake.
Lohan
Yeah.
Parent Trap. I don't even know if I've seen the original Parent Trap all the way through.
Maybe. Oh yeah, yeah. Maureen O'Hara
But
was
I
the
love,
mom.
and then like It Takes Two, The
Oh,
Babysitters Club.
I love the Babysitters Club.
Um, and then like I was a big reader, so there was like Nancy Drew and the Dear America series and like
Yeah,
American Girl dolls and all of it. So
yeah.
like those are childhood for me. The Sandlot was a part of my childhood. I do know the entire movie beat for beat, but like it's not one that like when I sit down and I'm like, what shaped Natalie
Right.
into the vibrant woman who's well liked that you see today? And it's like not the Sandlot. The Sandlot just told her that people were going to sexually assault you at pools. Like while you're
Yeah.
working, and then
Yeah.
you have to marry them.
And then you have to marry
I do think that The
them. Then you,
Sandlot is the
mm,
reason why one time when my sister and I were in high school and at Disney World, we bought, I don't know what the style of fucking bathing suits were that year, but like mine was like a deep V and it had like a ring in between it. So like my boobs were kind of more
yeah.
supported than my sister. She popped up and like, bathing suits always be throwing us right under the
Uh-huh.
fucking bus and doing us
Uh-huh.
dirty. So she came out and like a kid that was probably like Squince's size
Oh.
was right there as she like came up and had a nice little X-rated moment at Disney. And I told her, I was like, you just popped that kid's puberty cherry.
Whoopsie.
Real Wendy Peppercorn over.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my darling lover girl. That's literally what he calls her. Wendy Peppercorn, my darling lover girl. No, that's what they make fun of him
Yeah.
and say.
And
And then he's like,
honestly,
shut up.
if they had incorporated the crush, the like little crush
Mm-hmm.
of like him just mouth breathing at her at the pool or whatever, that's adorable. That's adorable, and that's how little kids have crushes. They just
Yeah.
mouth breathe at you places.
Yeah.
But I had to watch that on Sunday. I had to listen to Paris Hilton get groomed
Oh my
by
God. The
her
Paris Hilton book is so
by
hard.
her 8th grade teacher today, and then I had to recall
Oh, there's
my own
so much
grooming,
coming still, Natalie, in
and then
that
it all
book.
started to mesh together because it was a lifeguard who groomed me, and I was like, now I'm traumatized. Now
Oh,
now I gotta call my therapist over The
schedule an
Sandlot.
appointment. Yeah.
And honestly, all I wanted to watch was a movie about a dog where the dog doesn't die at the end because we're not
Yeah.
watching any of those fucking movies. I'm not crying through Homeward Bound. I'm not. There will
No.
be no old fucking Yeller. Where
No, I'm
where the
not.
red fern grows can fucking rot in hell. Not
First of
doing
all,
any of it.
I would never make you watch Old Yeller. That shit is fucking sad as hell.
I don't want to watch any of the movies where like the animals they don't talk but they narrate in their head their fucking experience. I don't want to watch Milo and Otis. I'm not crying my fucking shit through any of that.
No.
Today I watched a TikTok where a family moved away and this other family bought the house and they found out that when the other family moved away, they tied up their 10-year dog onto a lead in between two trees and they had had that dog since it was a puppy and they abandoned their dog and their cat. And I was like, just let people know if you're in a spot where you can't take your pets to your next place.
That
Just
is horrifying in so many
So now
ways.
the people who own the house are adopting that dog. Her name is Molly. Hi, Molly. You're
Oh,
adorable. And they're trying to adopt the cat, but the cat, cats be skittish.
yeah,
So,
cats will kind of just cats adopt you, not the other
right.
way around.
So the cat's coming around. I'm all fucking invested weeping.
That's so devastating. If you're in the Stanislaus County region, last I checked, there was 266 dogs in the animal shelter. So
That's too many dogs.
if you're in a position to adopt a dog, hit the shelter, don't buy. Also, have your pet spayed and neutered. Bob Barker was a very reasonable man in that request. With that said, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to double down on if you can't adopt, foster.
Yeah, fostering is helpful too, because you know what? 266 dogs is too many to be unloved.
That's too many.
They need homes, even if it is short term.
If you live in the Dayton area, in Cincinnati, one of the dog rescues allows you to rent a dog to go walk it around one of the parks in Cincinnati.
I love that.
So that's how you can volunteer. You just like take a dog for an outing.
I love that. Our shelter is like way out in the country, so that's too much. That people would be unwilling to do something like that.
Well,
though they could. Anyway, whatever. I'm gonna slip someone an idea, and I can't say it on live on air. So I think at the end of the day, Sandlot holds up ish.
Yeah. It only has that one gross part, and it's a gross part that we've seen play out in literally every movie of our childhood.
Everything. It's very unfortunate. Natalie, what's coming up for you this week? It's like me last week when I couldn't remember any of the shit going on with my show.
So this week on To All the Men I've Tolerated Before, it's not paid. Oh, we're joining the Imposter Syndrome Club with Jessamy and Alice, and we're talking about why we suffer from imposter syndrome.
Oh.
So they're on this week. Next week, it's Paige Folkers. You might remember her from our Mamma Mia episode. Yeah. And we're talking about women in STEM, including Elizabeth Holmes. Because you know I got thoughts.
And that was a good show on Hulu.
It was a good show on Hulu. And I'm like, I don't know.
And she had a second baby.
She has a second baby now?
Mm-hmm.
Is she still in lockdown?
I think so. I think she's on house arrest, right? Yeah.
Someone got conjugal visits. Good for her.
That just means that there's somebody out there for everybody, you know.
Good for her.
For me, this week we're dropping Monster-in-Law featuring Lynn Catalano. That is the 2005 classic. That is Jane Fonda's return to cinema.
I got screamed at for going to see it. My mom was like, I can't believe you went and saw a Jane Fonda movie. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about because I went and saw a J-Lo movie today.
Right. Exactly. That comes out Wednesday. Tomorrow night, join us over on Instagram as we talk about episodes 3 and 4 of Mad Men, where probably nothing happens except for Donald Draper probably harasses some people and smokes and drinks too much.
Well, I have questions about tomorrow's Mad Men because so many confusing things happened.
I haven't watched the episodes yet. I meant to today, but then
well, it's when Dawn has that fever, and I was like, is Dawn having a fever dream? Am I having a fever dream? Where's Megan? And
oh yeah, that fever
do I
dream
have
is
a fever?
Wild.
It's fucking wild. And I'm like, I'm actively confused.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'll actually watch those tomorrow so I can make thorough notes because I didn't realize the fever dream was in this chunk.
Yeah.
So we're talking Mad Men season 5, episodes 3 and 4 tomorrow over on Instagram. The Jelly Pops book club book announcement for April. We're reading in passing by Nella Larson. It's not too late to join the club. Just hit the link in bio on Instagram. I'll share it in the comments at some point here. And that's it. That's what you missed on Glee.
And that's what you missed on Glee. We'll see you tomorrow night on Madison Ave. And in Dawn's fever dream. So come feverish. Or with Tylenol, I don't know. And everyone, we just hope that you stay cozy, stay comfy. Bye. Da, 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 da,
I'm going to end this.
Da, 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 da.